Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We appreciate you being here with us. And as I said, Cafe Kubal, our proud and exclusive studio partner, Cafe Kubal, can be found on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse, and of course on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse in their drive-through location, and on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius. Inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Today's broadcast will start off with our bi-monthly exclusive segment with the champ herself, Miss Christy Salters Martin. Christy's Corner is what we call it, and it's coming to you in just a moment, picture in picture with Christy, as we talk about upcoming tournaments that she is working on and bringing to us here in a community near you. And of course, we'll talk about Golden Gloves VR and her special and unique connection to the video game. Then around 9:40 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll be joined by Tay Baker in an all-new exclusive Bobcat Buzz, coming at the end of his first season as women's basketball head coach at Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse. And then we'll get into officiating in the 2022-23 season. Mike Kitts will be joining the show, and Kitsy will be talking with us about college basketball and his takeaways as a longtime referee and a current coordinator of officiating. And we'll round out the show as we always do on a Tuesday with the ingredients to success, proudly presented by the wonderful people at Avicoli's on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, down the road from Liverpool High School. And we appreciate everyone tuning in live on Facebook.com, YouTube.com, and MixLR.com, all /Wake Up Call DT worldwide, and on Facebook.com /LiveNowDT, and the homepage of WakeUpCallDT.com. With that being said, I am so proud, so grateful, and we had our inaugural episode a couple weeks ago. We get to continue this on every other Tuesday to start the show off at 9 a.m., and that's with the champ, Christy Salters Martin in Christy's Corner. And this is proudly brought to you exclusively by PB&J's Lunchbox that you could find on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. And owner Pat Orr will be joining us in a few minutes. So, Miss Christy, how are you?
I'm well. It's great to be here with you. Great to be sponsored by PB&J. Go over there and get that. I think it's called a chicken, buffalo chicken sandwich wrap or something. It is killer. So make sure that's one of your orders through the week.
Yeah, you talked about it before. I think you got like a buffalo chicken grilled cheese or something like that.
Something like that. It was killer. I mean, Pat can tell you exactly what it is. So that Christy sent you, and you want what she had.
Yeah, no, it's so good, and their tuna melt, which I mean, I love everything I get there. They have a barbecue chicken quesadilla as well. Awesome, awesome food over at PB&J's. I love their chili, and I don't think anybody makes a better set of nachos than Miss Pat Orr, so you got to try those too. But you got the buffalo chicken, so Christy, I mean, obviously we know you in the boxing world. We know you as a fighter in the ring and out of the ring, but buffalo chicken a little bit spicy. Do you like the fight when it comes to food as well? Do you like the kick?
Oh yeah, I'm all about the spice.
Okay. So with that being said, we got a lot of great things coming up. I'm going to open it up to you. I know you have something coming up in March when it comes to the boxing world, and obviously the COBA tournament coming up in August as well. So let's start in March and what you have going on and what you want people to know about it.
Yeah, March 4th, we're working with the Hope House again. Hope House is in Kansas City, Missouri, and they are, of course, the domestic violence shelter. Housing, they do counseling, they do everything, housing for the victims. They have the children there, so many programs. This is a great organization that I've been lucky to be involved with for the last couple of years. So what we're doing on March 4th at the Uptown Theater in Kansas City is we're having an amateur boxing event, and that amateur boxing event as well as Christy's Champs. We're gonna have boxing matches, and between every match, we're gonna have a speaker. One of the speakers will be Cam Awesome, which some people may be familiar with. He's a motivational speaker that travels all around the world. Actually, a former amateur boxer from Florida. So it's gonna be a great night for the amateurs as well as for the Hope House, so that we get the word out there. Just make more people aware of domestic violence, and that it isn't just about bruises. It's more, many times it's mental, emotional, financial sexual. There's so many different forms of domestic violence. So we're just bringing it to the forefront. And the more we talk about it, the more people are going to be aware, and the more people are going to be comfortable talking about it.
And you bring up a good point, Christy, what you just said. That the more we talk about it, the more people will be aware, but the more people will be comfortable talking about it, because that is something that is a big piece of this that I don't think is discussed enough, is the fact that people don't feel comfortable speaking on it. And I know that I've told you off the air and I talked about it a little bit on the air, but when I was a victim of domestic violence, it took me a year to even register that. And the guy that said, he goes, "You're a victim of domestic violence." I said, "No, I'm not." And he said, "Why?" I said, "Because I'm a man." And because that's what my head told me. And so he looked at me and he was like, "You can still be a victim of domestic violence." And in my brain, men couldn't be victims of domestic violence. So, talking about it, having somebody there, having somebody care, and having somebody kind of look at you and go, "Are you okay?" And it did. It was a year after before I could even. So I'd love for you to get into that a little bit, because there's this side of people being uncomfortable talking about it. There's also the side of roles in society and what people think and what stereotypes are, that men can't even be victims of domestic violence.
So many times we think that, just what you said, that men cannot be a victim of domestic violence, but we go back to domestic violence just isn't physical, and men can be physically abused, and because there are some men that will not hit a woman back, but the woman will continue to physically abuse the man. So it's hard, and it's harder for a man. We think it's hard for a woman to say, "My husband, my boyfriend, my partner, whomever is hitting me." Think about, I put myself in your shoes. Think about a man telling someone that my female companion is physically abusing me. That has to be a very hard thing to do. But again, it's not just about the physical. It's about all the other, the isolation, the jealousy, where crazy jealousy that you can't speak to other people, your family members. You start to look, and that's what happened to me. I started to look around and like, wow, all my friends are gone. But wow, all my family is gone. And that's what Jim did. He really did a great job of Xing out everybody that was in my life and making me believe that I truly was on an island by myself, and he was the only person that could save me. And he was the only person that cared about me. And this is what many, many times victims do. Not victims, abusers do to their victim. They want to convince them that they are the only person that can save them, whatever saving you may be.
Yeah, and like you said, you bring up a lot of great points here in talking about, domestic violence, and speaking on what it is, and what we think it is and what it can be, and the isolation, and I was just talking about this recently about, people that I know, and kind of I'm seeing the signs of isolation from their partner, and I'm paying attention to this because it's like families moving away. So I'm looking at, so it's like, okay, well, they don't have that connection now. And then, this family member that isn't moving away isn't really somebody who takes care of themselves. So they were kind of being controlled before, but now they're even more on an island, and there's really nobody around in the immediate vicinity to help them. And being cognizant of that to me is very important, because of what I went through, because of, your story and what you talked to me about, that, there really is a lot of truth to the notion, if you see something, say something. And I just wish more people would speak up.
It's a hard line, because you don't want to cross that line and upset a friend, a family member,
Yeah.
or make them think that you're sticking your nose in their business. But sometimes on the outside, we can see better than what's happening so close to you. It's like in a boxing match. The worst seat in the house is the fighter. The second worst seat is the coach. The people that are really out here in the stands can actually see what's happening better. And it's the same thing in life. Sometimes things are happening right. and further away, people can start to see more and more that's happening. And I think that, a good friend wants to say, this isn't right, but they're also they want to be in your life, so they don't want you to X them out. And I think that in my situation, I know that was one of the problems. They knew that if they crossed the line and said something to me, that Jim would X them out of my life. He controlled who was in my circle. So they wanted to stay in my circle. They didn't want Jim to X them out of my life. And that's what abusers do. They want they want to be able to totally control you and what you think.
So what would you say to somebody who has a friend that they're worried about, where you're towing that line of, I want to say something, I think something's bad, I think something's going on, and knowing what you were like in the situation, knowing what what a lot of people are like in these situations. Some people are scared to say something. Some people have kind of been morphed into, their mindset has changed because the abuser has gotten into their mind. So now they think it's okay. They think they shouldn't talk to anybody else. So, when you are towing that line of, I'm a friend, but at the same time I'm concerned, and you want to speak up, but you also don't want to lose that friendship, what would you say to somebody who's caught in the middle of all of that? Because I can tell you from firsthand approach on both sides of it, it's a very difficult thing. And there's actually a movie that was made about it. It was a comedy made about it, but there was the seriousness of two best friends, and one of them was going through something, and the other one wanted to say something, but didn't really know how to.
Right. That one's a tough one. And I think every situation is a little different because the people are different, your relationships are different. But somebody, if you can just get the person comfortable. Yeah. Maybe you start the weather, a boxing event, something else, but some way it leads you. That's where in your mind, this is where we're ending up. You get that person relaxed, get them talking, get them open up, and then hit them with, why are you not doing, why are we not working out together anymore? Why are we not going to the movie anymore? Why don't we, we used to have a dinner or lunch, once a week. We don't do those things anymore. Why? And then maybe that person will start to feel relaxed enough to say, well, my partner doesn't want me to hang out with you anymore. My partner wants to be every place I am. And that was one of the things with Jim. Everything I did, he had to be there. Every conversation that I had, he wanted to know what was being said. He wanted to hear what was said. Yeah. He wanted to know who I was talking to. Actually would try to tell me what to say. So just making the person feel comfortable enough to talk to you.
Yeah, and I think that's huge.
I think it's the first step.
That coming here from Christy Salters Martin here this morning in Christy's Corner, where we will discuss so many different things in and out of the ring bi-monthly, every other Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, exclusively on Wake Up Call, proudly presented by PB&J's Lunchbox on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Christy, to get back to the tournaments that are coming up, as we were talking about domestic abuse and domestic violence and how it can be so many different things and some bruises are not seen, working with the Hope House, what has that done for you in your healing process, and what has it done for you in paying it forward and hearing stories of other people? And maybe that's what it took. Maybe just meeting you and shaking your hand and sitting with you for 5 minutes, maybe that changed somebody's life because they saw someone else who got through it. So what's that experience been like for you, and how rewarding is it to work with the Hope House?
It is very rewarding to be with the Hope for Connecticut. Every place I can go out there and feel like that I'm sharing my story and helping someone become stronger. It helps me get better a little bit every day. So I'm excited about this. The Uptown Theater, March 4th, we're going to be doing the amateur boxing event. So please, if you're in the area, come support the program. It's all rewarding. The Hope House, they have so many programs going on, as I said earlier, that support the victims of domestic violence, their families. and then helps them to get back on their feet. And this is what I want to do. I said from the beginning that I think God left me here for a reason, and that reason really is to help others by sharing my story and hopefully giving them a little strength and inspiration that if I can get through it, you can get through it. There's nothing special about me. Use my story, use my path, get up, get out, and move on.
And like you said, coming up here in March, the event, how can people, what do you want people to know as far as getting out to it, getting in touch with it? Is there a way that they can view it? What is all of the pieces of this upcoming tournament that you have in March at the Hope House?
We're probably going to be just FaceTiming it on Facebook. Christy Martin Promotions, just FaceTime. You can watch it. You can support in any way with the Hope House in Kansas City through Christy's Champs. Either way, and if you're in the area, just come by. We're going to have books for sale. The great book Ron Borges wrote, it really put the words down of my crazy life and experiences through boxing, through domestic violence, sexuality. All those things are in the book, and hopefully by reading Ron's words, that will help also with the inspiration and giving people a little strength to get up and get out and move on and just look. A goal and set one of those crazy goals that you don't even for sure, but go after it. And that's what I think that people can see through me, a coal miner's daughter from small town southern West Virginia, really making it to the boxing world, to fighting in Madison Square Garden, being promoted by Don King, being inducted into the Hall of Fame. So many awesome things. So if I can do that, so can you.
That coming here from Christy Salters Martin in Christy's Corner, speaking on what's coming up as well as her story. And we will be discussing, as I said, bi-monthly, a Tuesday, every other Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, exclusively on Wake Up Call, presented by PB&J's Lunchbox. All different topics, and of course you can write things in as well. I want to get, before we talk about what's coming up in August, the Golden Gloves VR. It's a new game that's come out, a virtual reality game where you become the boxer, and you have a very unique way of connecting with this video game. So I'd love for you to share with people how they can get you on the upcoming, on this video game that's now out there, Golden Gloves Virtual Reality, how Christy Martin comes to life in this game.
This is an awesome experience. I'm one of the commentators with Mickey Ward. So we sat and we watched fights and we commentated and we bantered back and forth about the fights and we even put some of our own fights up. So to be able to sit there with Mickey and like basically commentate with him on Mickey versus Arturo, it was a lot of fun. The game is awesome, and USA Boxing has even picked it up, and they're doing like a little USA Boxing virtual reality game or tournament with their boxing tournaments. So I think the Golden Gloves VR game is going to really be a huge hit. We're just going to keep improving it and increasing the awareness about the game. So, I'm not really a gamer, but I'm excited about this particular game for sure.
Yeah, and like you said with Mickey Ward, you get to, commentate. What was that like? I mean, how did you, because you have to set up different things, you have to say different things, you have to make it feel like they're with you at the whole time. So what was the approach like, the scripting like, recording it, just what was that whole experience like?
It was a lot. It was a lot of fun. We sat and just watched fights over and over, and we had a script, but then really I think we got it better when we went off script and just started to commentate and just started to talk about fights that we were watching. We watched, as I said, Mickey and Arturo. Then we watched my fight with Gogarty. Yeah, it was really a cool experience and a lot of fun hanging out with Mickey for a couple days.
Pat Orr is with us here, and as we said, Christy's Corner of Christy Salters Martin, exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, is proudly presented exclusively by PB&J's Lunchbox, 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Pat, what are your thoughts that one of your closest friends, that when somebody turns on a video game now, they're going to hear her the whole time?
I think that's pretty cool. Christy's a pretty good commentator. I like listening to her when she's at the fights. I think the boxing world's missing out when they don't have her on the, the big fights, the Katie Taylor fight and stuff like that. I think it'll get there in the future, but they're just a little slow at getting there.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is having that commentation. I love getting out there and commentating, Christy, and I've done it for volleyball, I've done it for basketball, a lot of years of basketball. So there's an art to commentating that's different than, what we're doing here this morning in, broadcasting this show. What can you speak to on the art of commentating and what you love about it or what you appreciate about being out there and getting to see something live in the action and just, immerse yourself in it and share that with people as well?
I think as a commentator, when I'm commentating, I try to go back to old school. Like, what if somebody were listening to this on the radio? And that's what a commentator, that to me, that's what a commentator does. Explain what's happening before you, not your opinion on what should happen or what you wish would happen. No, tell the fans what is happening. And too many times we have former boxers in the boxing world or in any actually former players that want to talk about themselves and how they, this is how it should be done. No, let's talk about what is actually happening. And that's what the fans are watching. That's what they want to see, and really not try to sway their opinion to make them think they're seeing something they're not.
Yeah, and I love what you said, because we did simulcast on radio and TV, and as much as we were on TV, we had to paint the picture for radio, and I had to remind people, like, hey, let's tell the story as if you can't see it, because that's what you do as a broadcaster and a commentator. You're supposed to create a world that people can live in without having seen it themselves. So I love that you enjoy that and you love the art of that and you keep that going. Pat, speaking of art, you have a sandwich that you create, and Christy won't stop mentioning it. So thank goodness that you and I are in partnership with each other, or else you would owe me some type of royalty money. So what is this buffalo? Is it a buffalo chicken grilled cheese? Is this what she's talking about?
It's a buffalo chicken wing dip grilled cheese.
Okay.
So we make our own buffalo chicken wing dip, and then we spread it on a grilled cheese before we grill it.
So that's what it is, Christy. Christy has told everybody to go out and get it. She loves it. I think it's what Christy got when we did the first show together, right? When she came for the book signing?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So that's the one. I don't know if I could choose. So, Pat, I'm going to throw it to you with this. Of all the things that I've had, because you've seen me come in there a bunch of times and order a bunch of different things, what do you think is, I think I know what my favorite is. It's because it's like almost tied with like 4 different things. What do you think my favorite thing is? If Christie's is the buffalo chicken wing dip melt, what do you think mine is?
I might say the tuna melt. Because you've gotten that quite a bit.
I do get that a lot. I did
PB&J.
I did say that I don't think anybody makes a better nacho plate than Pat Orr. So, and she puts the jalapenos on it and all that stuff. So, Pat, we did this last time, and we're going to continue to do this kind of a round robin thing. And so far, Christy and I have spoken about what's coming up with the Hope House in March. We've also discussed the Golden Gloves VR. What would you like to talk with Christy about this morning? I know you brought up that the boxing world should have her commentating there more often. Is that where you'd like to go, or what topic would you like to discuss with Christy today?
I think that is where I want to go, because I remember as a kid watching Wide World of Sports and Howard Cosell and all the boxers that were, back in the Ali and Norton and Frazier and Foreman and Leonard and Hagler and Hearns and all those guys, Durant. And just me as a kid watching and listening to Howard Cosell, and it was like everybody hated him, but everybody loved him. They loved what he said. He commentated. He talked about the fights, what was happening. I think nowadays, that the commentators are so into themselves that we miss out on the action that's going on as we're watching on TV, because we're listening to them chirp about themselves. And I think that it's to get back to some unbiased reporting would be really nice in boxing.
Christy, your thoughts on that?
Well, I think so many times people are watching this. So when you're trying to convince them that they're seeing something they're not, it's ridiculous. I mean, you have to just, hey, and this is another thing that gets me. No matter how poor a boxer may be, poor in skills, they had a lot of confidence. It takes a lot of heart to walk up those 3 steps and get in that ring. So instead of putting boxer B down, and let's talk about the good things maybe boxer A's doing, or maybe boxer B's doing something not so good because A's making him do that. So let's look at the positive things happening instead of really putting somebody down. I mean, sometimes the guys may be horrible and there should never been allowed to go into the ring, but that's really on somebody else. That guy he's fighting in front of his friends and family, fans. So he's not going to go out there and try to look bad. He's going to go out there and try to do his best. If this is the best he has to offer, let's just talk about the other guy, because maybe this guy doesn't have anything really good to offer tonight.
Right.
And Pat, you spoke about the fact that you think Christy should be doing more of this, that you feel like she should be more of a part of this, and more opportunities provided, and in some of these big fights have her there. What is it about the way that Christy tells a story that you think is so poetic and so needed in boxing today?
I think it's because Christy tells the truth, and like she said, she tries to, let's talk about the positivity instead of the negativity. There's so much negativity in the world and in sports now that it's refreshing to hear somebody calling a fight that, first of all, has the knowledge of the game. Second of all, has a passion that, she's just going to be good at it, because when you love to do something, it's just so much better than when maybe somebody's just doing it for money. Is Tom Brady going to be a good broadcaster? Who knows? Maybe he will, maybe he won't. Is he worth all the money that he's going to get? I'm afraid nobody's worth all that money. There's so much more that can be done with money in the world than, millions and millions of dollars going to one person. I think that people work really hard for what they do, and Christy is probably one of the hardest workers that I know. She's constantly on the phone, working things, doing, putting fights together, and nobody knows what it takes to put a fight together except the people that do it. And, it can be frustrating, and it can be fun, it can be successful, it can be not successful, but you keep doing it because you love it and you know the game. And I think when Christy commentates, just the true feel of boxing and what the fighters are going through kind of comes out and is acknowledged.
That coming here from Pat Orr, the owner of PB&J's Lunchbox, exclusively bringing you this segment, Christy's Corner on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, with our champ, and I love that it says champ in the corner there, Christy Salters Martin, here with us this morning. So, Christy, before we get into rapid fire and we get to ask each other a few questions here, I do want to get into the tournament that's coming up in August, and August 10th to the 13th, and just what you have with the COBA tournament, the importance of this that you have. I know that there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of fighters that are going to be at this Christy Martin COBA, which stands for Charter Oak Boxing Academy title tournament, August 10th through the 13th, and a lot of great things coming up here, so in Hartford. So I'd love to get your take on this and your why for this tournament that's going to be later on in the year.
We are so excited about our relationship, joining forces with COBA. Those guys up there, Coach Johnny Callis, he has a program that is just involved in the community, but it is from sexuality to domestic violence to just the underdog. Everybody is involved, trying to help everyone else. It's like there's no stigma to anybody. Everybody's included, and everybody's supported in this program. So I'm excited, and to be in Hartford, Connecticut. I mean, home of Willie Pep is exciting. I think the location is going to double or maybe even triple our turnout for boxers for the amateur tournament. We've had it like 4 times down in North Carolina. It's been very successful, and we've had a lot of fun with it. but now moving it to Hartford, and hopefully that is our home there for a long time, working with these guys. And through the tournament, of course, we're bringing lots of boxers to this. So we take that opportunity to talk to them about domestic violence and about sexuality, all the things that these young people are facing at this point in their life. We're trying to put it out there that there are people they can talk to. We'll have different groups on the premises that will be giving out information of where they can be reached if anyone has any problems with domestic violence, with any sexuality, bullying. All of those things will be addressed at this tournament. So I'm over the top excited about joining forces with COBA.
And I love the fact, Christy, that I asked you about the tournament and where people would normally talk about the boxers and talk about, everything in the fight in the ring itself. You're talking about every piece around it, the why of doing it. And so, like you said, speaking on sexuality, speaking on domestic violence, speaking on things that are happening in people's lives or could happen, and trying to be a helping hand to let them know that somebody is listening, because we can't be in society thinking that everyone has a good guardian, everyone has a good parent, everybody has a good spouse that's listening to what's going on, or that's being helpful, or that have the friends to tell them get out of the situation. So the fact that you're doing so much more than simply putting on a tournament really describes who you are. Before we get into our round robin, we got some questions that have come in, and Christy, I want to get your thoughts on these. And so the first one is, who are your favorite boxing commentators, analysts, past and present? Do you have some that have hung it up that you love, or some now that you like?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. Wow. I'm not quite old enough to really remember hearing Howard Cosell doing the fights, but just his voice and all the other sports that he did, he definitely would be an awesome one. And one of those guys that you have to say, I wish he could have seen my fights, even though, or commentated my fights, even though he probably would have rolled over in his grave knowing that a woman was in the ring. I'm not sure he would have been supportive of that. But it would have been a lot of fun. I think a lot of people don't really like Larry Merchant, but he called it like it was, or like he saw it. I think one of my favorite today commentators is Paulie. And I think Paulie got the short end of the deal with Showtime, and that whole situation was wrong in my opinion. But I think he calls it like he sees it, and he sees it, or let me say, he calls it like it's happening, not just like he sees it. I like to listen to him.
Yeah, he's good.
So your next question that came in, and thank you for that response. I like that. I appreciate that very much. So the next one that we have is another piece of the fighting world. Thoughts on the movement of MMA fighters entering the boxing landscape. Do you think it's good or bad for the sport?
I think the MMA fighters coming over to boxing, maybe it'll bring some new fans, because so many of the young fans have gone to the MMA world. Even though I'm not a fan, I know that a lot of the young people are supporting MMA. So if we get some of those bigger names learning how to box and really supporting and trying to master that craft, then maybe we'll get some younger fans to come back over to boxing and really give us a shot in the arm.
Yeah, and you put a big piece of that right in there, learning how to box the correct way. So if they're going to be there to understand it, learn it, and not take away from, obviously the sanctity of the game itself. So now it's time for us to rapid fire this thing. Christy's Corner here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, proudly presented exclusively by PB&J's Lunchbox on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. I would tell you to go out and get all of my favorites, but I don't want to go against the boxer because she's got the gloves. I don't. So I'm going to say the buffalo chicken wing dip melt is the one that she would pick. I'm going to go with the tuna melt, as well as probably the barbecue chicken quesadilla, because I love that as well. We're going to round robin our rapid fire. Pat Orr, the owner of PB&J's, is here with us. Pat, you get to ask Christy the first question, and Christy will ask me, and we'll go back. So what do you have for Christy?
Oh, boy. I would have to say, if there was one big fighter that you would like to have be the main fight on your next card, if anything was possible, who would you put on there to draw the people in?
Oh, well, that's kind of a double-edged sword because, if you look at who's just going to draw people in, you could probably have to go with Jake Paul, right? And I hear he's about to get rated in the WBC. So, but I probably, as a fight fan, even though Tiafimo has seemed to lose a step, I don't know what's happened. He got dropped in his last fight. I'm still a fan, so I probably would put Tiafimo on. Yeah, instead of Jake Paul. Good question.
I like it. All right, Chris. Good stuff. So, what do you got for me, Christy?
All right. If there were one boxer that you could do an interview with, who would it be, and what would you ask them?
Good question.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I would have to. I mean, it's the first person that came to mind without question is Mike Tyson, and the reason why I would want to sit down with him is kind of interesting. I don't think that his okay. So there's a lot of people that I think, and this is me from the outside looking in, and obviously I don't know Mike. So it seems like everyone, instead of telling his story for him, they've told his story for them. And everyone seems to always be trying to get something from Mike, right? Take something from him to make their career better. I would want to sit down with him and let him tell his story his way and not seek to gain anything from it other than the fact that Mike could finally have somebody in the media that he could trust to tell his story. With that being said, I would ask him if he chose or if they chose in the movie The Hangover for him to go crazy to the song In the Air Tonight, because that's my favorite drum solo ever, and hearing him sing it was fantastic. So I would probably want to end our interview singing In the Air Tonight together. I think that would be fun.
That'd be cool.
So my question to Pat Orr.
Oh boy.
Okay, Pat.
I'm nervous.
Okay, I'm gonna put myself on the spot on this one. If it's a twofer. If you could create a sandwich to the personality of me and create one to the personality of Christy, if on PB&J's menu, what would be the Dan and what would be the Christy? A sandwich that represents our personalities.
Oh my goodness, Dan. Why are you so tough today? My God. Oh, geez. I don't know if I have a creative mind like that this morning. I don't think I've ever seen you eat a burger at my place, and I think I would probably do a jalapeno burger for you.
Okay.
And we make our own jalapeno dip, and we cut them into like discs, and then we put them on the burger and melt it, and then put it on a toasted ciabatta roll. And I think you would probably really like it. I don't know. I'm not sure if you're a burger fan, but I've never seen you eat one there. So I think that I'd probably have to throw a burger at you because our burgers are pretty good too.
All right. What's the Christy?
Christy? Oh my gosh. She's a finicky eater, I think. I don't know. I know she eats a lot of chicken, and I probably would want to get her to try our chicken tenders because we make fresh tenders at the place and they're not frozen, and it's a whole different ball game with that. And then I'd probably give her some blue cheese dressing and some bang bang sauce to see which one she liked the best.
Okay, all right, Pat. What's your question for me?
My question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
I would have to say, I know you said you'd like to interview Mike Tyson,
mm-hmm.
and I think that would be an awesome interview because I think Mike Tyson does get the short end on interviews and stuff. I think they always go to the negative instead of the positive.
Yeah.
And I would probably say that I'd like to hear you interview Mike Tyson with Cus D'Amato. which is impossible, but I think that it would have been a great interview. So I think that if you got the chance to do that, what questions would you ask his coach in front of Mike Tyson?
I think that's a fantastic question. I've never been asked anything like that before, so thank you, Pat. I would say, to ask the coach of somebody, and maybe Christy can attest to this, they're going to know you so uniquely. They're going to know the intricate pieces. They're going to know the moments that you almost broke. They're going to know the moments where, something was going on at home. They're going to know your resiliency at times where people didn't know you were being resilient. They're going to know, when you were hurting and maybe you were smiling, and they're going to bring that honesty, I would hope, to, who they are. So I think with Mike getting the short end of the stick in interviews and people being opportunistic and only really asking him questions so they can get something from it in some cases, I'm not saying all cases, but in some, I would not only want Mike to tell his story, but I would want to hear the story from the perspective of someone who was so close to him and knew Mike Tyson before he was the world's Mike Tyson, is what I would really want to stick into.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I would love to just get the real feel of it, because I think your coach knows your darkest days that nobody saw. So I think that's pretty special, especially when people see you as a champion. They don't know, what went into that. I think everybody sees the finished product, but nobody wants to put that work in and how you get there. And I would love to tell that story of who he was before he was. So,
Right.
All right, Christy.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. I love how she went, uh-oh. So, all right, Christy. You have spoken so openly about so many things that are very, very difficult to talk about. If you and I were sitting here today game planning with Pat the next Christy's Corner, and we could talk about something that you've never spoken about before, it could do with boxing, doesn't have to do with boxing. If you could pick a topic that you just love, a hobby, somewhere you like to go, a memory, what would you love to sit back and talk about that you think would just make you smile? What topic?
Oh, wow. Something that would just make me smile is probably, we talked about being in Aruba, talked about being on the beach in Florida somewhere. Maybe we talk about a new job opportunity that I'm about to get, and we can talk about the next Christie's Corner. Yeah, those are the things that would make me smile.
Yeah, I think Aruba would make all of us smile. Can we make that trip happen? What are we doing? So
We need to get a sponsor for that, Dan.
Yeah, we need to work with some airline or something to make that happen. So I like that. I appreciate that. It's funny because I was thinking in my head while I was asking the question, I was thinking of some colorful drinks inside of coconuts on a beach somewhere. So Christy kind of answered my question. It was osmosis. But all right, Christy, what's your final question for Miss Pat Orr? And Pat said mine weren't difficult enough, so make sure you make yours tough.
All right. So let's see. I don't know. I don't know how tough this one's going to be. But Pat, would you rather be at a cook-off, or would you rather be taking pictures at a heavyweight championship fight like Tyson Fury?
Oh, I would absolutely be at the fight. I watch cook-offs on TV. I don't know if I'd ever want to do them. Too much pressure. You get too many crappy things. I don't know enough about the weird food that they put on cook-offs to be able to put it on a plate and make it taste good, because that's complicated. But shooting a heavyweight fight, I'd do that in a minute. That's a crazy passion that I have that I don't think anybody would understand unless they had the passion for something like that.
Boxing is an adrenaline rush.
The adrenaline alone is crazy. And the funny part is that when you shoot the fight, you don't really see the fight. So like you kind of see the punches landing and stuff, but you don't see some of the other stuff because you're only at one angle. Like when you're watching on TV, you have all different angles. You see all different things happening. But when you're shooting the fight, you know, you don't necessarily get the shot because you're not in the right place. Like Tyson Holyfield won when Holyfield knocked Tyson down. I was at the top seat on a rafter behind the last seat in the house, far away, but I had a lens where I could see it, and I'm telling the people up there, they're all eating popcorn and drinking beer and not even shooting pictures, and I'm going, oh, Tyson's going down, and all of a sudden, all you hear is popcorn. Well, you see popcorn flying, beers, you know, getting thrown on the ground, and people trying to pick up cameras and get the shot, but the shot was already over. So that was like the excitement of the heavyweight fight that I was at and I shot. And I had the commissioner from Nevada, Mark Ratner, buying, you know, 6 copies of it to give to the people around him that were at it and were in the picture. So that I would have to say the heavyweight fight would probably be the one that I would choose without a hesitation.
What I love about that is you both said adrenaline at almost the exact same time. And that was so cool because, you know, and that, I mean, there is something special and unique to the world of boxing. And on the next episode of Christy's Corner, we're going to dive into why is it so special? Why is it so unique? As well as other things. So, Christy, thank you so much for not only being here today, but allowing me the opportunity to make you a mainstay here on Wake Up Call and get to tell your story throughout the year of everything you're doing and everything that's going on, past, present, and future. Pat, thank you for believing in my company and believing in my vision and my mission and introducing me to such an incredible person as Christy. So, to the fantastic PB&J's Lunchbox on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York, open for you Monday through Saturday. Make sure you go to PB&J's Lunchbox. It is fantastic. It's available on Grubhub, DoorDash, Eat Street, and Uber Eats, so you can go there and get it. You can also call 315-476-3287 so that you can order your food there today. And Christy Salters Martin, you could check her out on social media. You could check out Christy's Champs, Christy Martin Promotions, and of course the upcoming tournaments that are going to be at the Hope House here in March and the COBA tournament that's going to be in August. So, Christy, thank you. Pat, thank you. We will have so much more coming up, but I just love that I'm here with 2 fantastic people every other Tuesday. So you guys make it easy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both.
All right, appreciate it. That coming from Pat or Miss Christy Martin. And Christy, one more time, really quick, let everybody know March Hope House, what the dates are and the information on that really quick one more time.
March 4th, Hope House. We're going to be at the Uptown Theater in Kansas City. Come support Hope House, Kansas City Golden Gloves, and Christy's Champs.
That coming from Christy Martin. All right, Christy, we'll talk with you very soon. And God bless along the way, all the way through. And we look forward to having you back in just a couple weeks.
Bye, everybody.
All right, take care. That coming from Christy Salters Martin and Miss Pat Orr once again. So always appreciate having them here on the broadcast with us where sports truly meets that thing called life. And I can't thank them enough for being here and making Christy's Corner a reality. I couldn't do it without them. So much love to Pat Orr, much love to Christy Salters Martin, and much love. We've had him come in. We've only done 2 episodes, this being the second. Thank you for that. And we welcome those. So with that being said, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back with Tay Baker and an all-new Bobcat Buzz featuring the women's basketball head coach after his first season that wrapped up yesterday. We'll talk with him right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cubal needs. Cafe Cubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and of course in all of the awesome avenues that we get to connect with you. We're here on youtube.com, facebook.com, and mixlr.com, all /wakeupcalldt inside of the Cafe Cubal Studios. Cafe Cubal, fill your cup up right on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse. And you'll find them in Manlius on 343 Fayette Street and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse in that drive-through location right by the airport. So, with that being said, inside of MonPosPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', you had Christy's Corner here to start off the broadcast, which is our bi-monthly segment every other Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Christy Salters-Martin, the International Boxing Hall of Famer, joins us here with Miss Pat Orr in the exclusive segment that we have proudly presented to you by PB&J's Lunchbox on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. I want to thank Pat Orr and Christy Salters-Martin for yet another wonderful conversation this morning. And speaking of wonderful conversations, the Bobcat Buzz is part of our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse. And the Bobcat Buzz can be found by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, subscribing, and searching Bobcat Buzz. You can also find our Bobcat Buzz specials on the BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com. And we're here for an all-new special live with Tay Baker, the Bryant Stratton Syracuse women's basketball head coach, finishing his first season at the helm of the women's basketball team. So with that being said, we bring him in. Tay, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Dan. How's everything going?
It's going very well, man. And congratulations, first and foremost, on finishing the season off with a victory against Cheney in the Philadelphia area, which was last night. Literally drove down during the day yesterday. So we're on the road on game day and had to get your legs right and all of that. Play the game, win by one, come home, and we're back this morning at 4 a.m. So I want to thank you for getting up and doing this show after a big old travel day yesterday.
Absolutely, Dan. It was definitely a long day yesterday.
So bring me into it, Tay. You know, playing a game like that, I mean, I would imagine, you know, it's not the first choice a coach would have to, you know, travel on a game day and, you know, because your legs can do something to you when you're in the car for hours. So what was it like for that to go through that process? And did you do anything special knowing that you're traveling on a game day and then as soon as you get there, you know, you got to get your body right. You got to do your walkthroughs and different things and talk to the team and get ready. But is it a different way of warming up when you're traveling on game day, and how did you handle it?
Pretty much what we did. We've been preparing for this game, you know, all week. We've been on the road a lot this season, so we were kind of like used to the long drives. But yesterday was kind of a bit of a drive. It was about 4.5 hours away. So pretty much what we did was got here a little early. We ate breakfast. We usually just eat breakfast, make sure everybody's energized. then we get on the bus and everybody just rest. Everybody usually go right to sleep, and take a nap and basically get up when we get there. Just make sure we're fully energized. And we usually have our guy who works in the cafeteria feed our girls and our men's team, fruits and things like that. So just to keep them energized for the game.
Now, are you a sleeper on the travel, or do you have? Is it hard for you to sleep on the road, or can you fall right asleep?
Usually I fall right asleep. As long as I see the girls are asleep, I usually fall asleep right behind them. That's pretty much what we've been doing on all of our trips. And when we get there, we wake right up and get right to it.
It's fitting that you're called the Bobcats, because I feel like in the jungle, in the wild, that's what happens, right? You make sure that all the cubs are asleep, and then you go to sleep. So makes sense there, Tay. You make sure everybody's all right before you do it. So you win the game by a point. Bring us into the matchup here with Cheney and ending the season on a high note in your first season as head coach of the women's team.
This meant a lot. This game was very big for not just ourselves, but I guess for Cheney as well, because it was their senior night, and that was also the last night that anyone would ever play in that gym, because they're going to be knocking it down and working on building a new gym. So when we were told that, that meant a lot to us as well, to be able to be the last team ever playing that gym. And we also knew this was the last game of the season. So, I told the girls that a few of our girls would not be returning next year. So let's go out there, play our hearts out, and, leave everything on the court, and whatever happens, happens. And I felt like the girls just played their behinds off yesterday.
Yeah, and Tay, it's been a unique year, and if somebody goes onto the website and they look on syracuse.bscbobcats.com, the schedule looks totally different because obviously some games had to be. Well, I'll let you tell the story, but it was an interesting road because you were a potential playoff team, a postseason team in the national tournament, and then some unfortunate circumstances happened. So, what would you like to share about that with people kind of going and seeing the schedule and then seeing the schedule change online? That I know, some people have some questions why a bunch of games would read 2-0. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to shed some light on that.
Yes, well, that was a long process. From my understanding, there was like a paper and there was paper messed up from the higher ups from a previous season that myself or the men's coach didn't have any control over. We thought everything was okay, and come to find out that there was eligibility issues that came about. And I didn't know anything about it at the time, because if I did know anything about it, I would have definitely prevented it, because it kind of messed up our season, and a lot of the senior girls' season has kind of been ruined as well. Well, that I don't really know too much about what happened. I don't really know too much about the process. This is my first year, so I'm still learning everything. But that's pretty much all I know about the whole situation that happened, that one of our players was ineligible, and that's pretty much all I know. So and we had to, what was that, Dan?
Oh, no, I was going to say, Tay, with that, having a player and not really knowing the situation, like you said, things happen in, from my understanding of it, obviously a player that transferred in and a waiver that from the school that it came from was incorrect on their side, and unbeknownst to anybody at Bryant Stratton, kind of took the word on the school and the way that the school went about it, and with that, coming through, thought, okay, this is, the correct thing, which brought about how many years of eligibility, and at the end of the day, here we are with, like you said, a team that was flying high, doing great, and going toward the postseason. How have you handled that as a coach, like you said, with some of your seniors? This is it for them. How have you handled the season that started off so bright and ended on an unfortunate circumstance that was out of your control? So what you could control, was winning the games and the team was doing that. What you couldn't control was a mishap in paperwork that ended up affecting this season. So how have you handled that as the head coach of this team, knowing that, these girls put their blood, sweat, and tears into everything?
Yeah, well, I pretty much just sat down and spoke with all of the girls, one by one and as a group. And I just told them, it's unfortunate that this happened this year. If I could do anything, I would change it. I tried to do whatever I could do, like anything that, my boss asked me to do. I was on it like immediately, to try to prevent our record from changing. But I guess those are the penalties that happen when these type of things occur. So what I pretty much did, I just took every day one day at a time. It has been stressful, but Dan, like I told you on the previous interviews, I'm just happy to be here. I really love my job. I've been wanting to do coach forever. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's unfortunate that my first year that this happened, because like you said, we were on our way to go to nationals possibly, and the girls knew that as well. And everyone just pretty much, we just stuck together like a family, like we did. Like I told the girls day one that we're going to go through adversity, throughout the whole season. And this was one of the situations that we had to deal with together. And I felt like we did good sticking it out. It was a struggle losing that particular player because she was our leading scorer. But we did good. We did good without her, I believe.
Yeah, and I bring it up because adversity happens and it's going to teach you things. So as a head coach who's a head coach for the first time ever, not just at Bryant Stratton, but in general, for you to jump out of the gate and be a first-time head coach and have to go through something that you couldn't control, what has it taught you about how you want to lead and what you want to do? Because you've been hit with a unique style of adversity that most coaches you would hope don't go through, and if they do, not in their first season. So how have you learned from this moment, and how is it going to make you a better leader?
I pretty much learned that, no matter what happens, you gotta, for one, I always tell you this, Dan, you gotta just trust and believe in God. Whatever happens for a reason. I felt like this happened, and then like the type of person that I am, the type of person that my parents raised me to be was to, if you fall down, get back up. No matter what happens, keep pushing, yep. And you're gonna get through it. And I feel like this year from this happening, I feel like I'm gonna get blessed next year with even better players. All the paperwork is gonna be good, and then I already know myself. I'm gonna be recruiting my behind off, starting in a few weeks because our season came to an end. So I'm going to get on it right away. I'm not just going to make next year 10 times better than this year.
You have this positivity. Speaking here with Tay Baker, Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse, a women's basketball head coach coming off his first season as a head coach and first season at the helm at Bryant Stratton in this exclusive Bobcat Buzz. There's things, and you and I talk a lot, and we talk off the air. I don't think I've ever said this to you, though, and I want to say it to you, and as I say it to you, share it with the world. You have a positivity about you that is contagious, and it's like there's got to be days where you're tired, you're stressed, you're upset about something, but the way I see you with your team, the way you take care of these student athletes, the way that you're there for them, the way that you make sure everybody is okay, you always are paying attention. So the positivity, the smiles, the appreciation, the faith in God, and this level of care, Tay, I want to say this to you, and I want people to hear this. You are different, and you're different in the good ways. And I don't think I have ever seen, I know I've never seen you, no matter how tired you may be or whatever's going on in your life, and you're a dad and all that, I've never seen you come up to me, give me an attitude, be negative, not appreciate what's going on, not appreciate your blessings. And as tired as you may be, and you finish a game, and the men's game's next, and you're there with the team, and if the team's staying, then you're staying, and you're making sure everybody's okay. I want to give you credit for being the level of competitor that, I'm sure people know you as on the court, but for taking that level of care and concern and that energy and bringing it, man, because if I'm having some type of a day, I always know I'm going to get a smile, a handshake, a hug, and somebody who's, going to appreciate my company. And I just want you to know how far that goes for people.
Yeah, definitely appreciate that, Dan. Seriously. That's big. That's big news right there, Dan. I never knew that, I don't think you ever mentioned that to me, but I definitely appreciate it. For sure.
Where does that come from? Where do you get your positivity? Where do you get your energy? Why, when you're tired and you're stressed and you're frustrated or whatever's going on in your life, why does Tay stay Tay? And we don't see you ever get too high or too low. I mean, you always seem to appreciate the moment that you're in. How did you get like that?
To piggyback off of you saying the appreciate the moment that I'm in, I think that's pretty much just what it is. Like I listen to a lot of motivational speakers. Like Eric Thomas. When I'm feeling down, I listen to like Eric Thomas. He motivates you in a way to where it turns you into like a Lionheart type of guy. And it just like it motivates me to get up every day and give 150%. I just listen to a lot of motivation. I just started listening to this guy whose name is I Am George, and he's a very good motivational speaker. And then just like I said, with my upbringing, my family were my grandmas and my grandfathers and my parents were all like very spiritual people. So like I always was taught to like I said, believe in God no matter what happens. And I've been through a lot in life, so when like certain things that happen to me now at this age, it may be like huge to someone else, but like the things that I've been through outside of work and stuff like that, it just it's like tiny compared to those things. You know what I mean? And it's just like I said, it's a blessing. So I just smile through anything. Like when you see me, like you said, I'm always smiling because it's just like I'm just blessed, bro.
That coming here from Tay Baker here in this exclusive edition of the Bobcat Buzz inside a wake-up call with Dan Tortora. Tay, before I let you go, I do want to, with, like I said, the unfortunate happening of this season and how, it adjusted the record, I don't want to take away from what I saw with my own eyes, and that was your ability to coach and your student athletes' ability to play. You have had some fantastic games this season that may not look in the record books the way that they were because of something out of your control. But I do want to give credit to those games, credit to you and credit to your staff and to those players. Eris Robinson, getting to meet him, your assistant, and hang out with Eris for a bit, who I call LeBron as well. And so getting to talk to Eris, getting to, speak with you and your student athletes and see them, what do you want to say to people about what happened this season? Because the record's not going to show it, but there were some amazing things that happened. Why do you think this team played so well? What did you take away from your first year of being a head coach? As you reflect on the season, how would you describe this season through your eyes and what it was like to coach this team?
Yeah, well, I want to start by saying, as far as like the transfer waiver and stuff like that, like I said, I had no clue about it. I felt like my boss and everybody did a good job training me. So like those, like for my new girls that I actually recruited myself, that I went out and brought in, I double checked all their transfer waivers before they came in and they were good to go. It was just unfortunate, like I said, that somehow this transfer waiver, it was like a mistake. Something happened with the paperwork, and I just want everybody to know that, like, we didn't do it on purpose. It was like a big mistake. I don't think this happened before. And this can happen to someone who just knew and didn't just doesn't know anything. I'm still in my learning stage. So as far as that, I just want the world to know that it wasn't like planned, like it wasn't, we didn't do it on purpose. I wish I would have found this out before the season, but even earlier in the season, like the second game, as opposed to the 11th or 12th game when they found out or something,
Yeah.
But other than that, though, that's what I want everybody to know. But other than that, I know our girls, we knew it was going to be a good rest of the season. It like I keep saying, it's unfortunate that our record changed. Like no one would know why it changed, but I just felt like we did a good job just sticking together and playing together once we lost that particular player. And most, a lot of teams will probably give up knowing that with the record, we're not possibly making it to nationals or whatever. But these girls stuck together, and then I always hear from them how much they like me. So I felt like they also played for me as well, because they know how much I care for them and the basketball game.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback off of that, just what you want to say as the head coach of this squad itself, and how these women finished off the season with a victory, all the adversity, things out of their control, just how they played, and your pride that you have in them, because I think it's pretty incredible to see their fight not having your leading scorer, and then at the end of everything to finish off the season on a high note with a victory and some momentum and something to build on. So I would love for you to kind of expand a little bit on the roster that you have and what you appreciate about the women that played so hard for your team this year.
Yeah, well, yesterday, these last couple of games, I've been telling the girls, but yesterday in particular, I told the girls that I'm very proud of them. You mentioned earlier we won by 1 point, and we only had 6 girls. On the last couple of games, we only had 6 girls, so that means, if 1 or 2 girls foul out, it's going to be a close game, or if 2 girls foul out, we're down to 4, you know what I mean? And we've been in that situation. And yesterday we had 1 girl foul out, and I called the time. I told them that's it. Nobody else can foul out. We just have to play great defense. And yesterday, for some reason, it worked. Like, God was on our side yesterday. We won by 1 point. I don't know. It just was a big game yesterday. Like, even the energy. I've never played at an HBCU before. The energy that was in that gym, I can't even explain yesterday, Dan. Like, it was the best feeling ever yesterday. And like that, even like that, with the energy in the gym yesterday, I felt like with that type of adversity, the fans, taunting at us, the crowd yelling, I felt like we stuck together. The girls couldn't hear me majority of the game, but we got our captain, our other captain, Sully. She was locked in with me, and also Naya. And then we got our new player. Her name is Maggie. She came in and played a big role for us. She's averaging a double-double, I believe. But yeah, Dan, I could talk to you all day about it, man. I'm just super proud of these girls, and I just can't believe that, we stuck together the way we did after all of that happened.
And you said that you have an experience being at an HBCU. What does that mean to you beyond basketball?
Man, the love that they gave me, I felt like the love that they gave me was unreal. Like, and it's not, I don't know if it was just me, but like after the game, everybody, was coming up to us, giving us, showing us love, congratulating us, and we're the away team. And I also was explaining to everyone that I've never been in like a environment like this. I played college basketball, but this type of environment, man, I'm like, man, I wish I would have played, at a school like this, where it's just a lot of love, man. It just feels like I'm kind of like home,
That coming here from Tay Baker, Bryant Stratton College Syracuse women's basketball head coach, somebody who I have the awesome pleasure of getting to talk with all the time and getting to tell his story. There's so much more of Tay's story that we will tell here on Wake Up Call. We are on the tip of the iceberg, in my opinion. Bobcat Buzz is the exclusive piece that we have here in our multimedia marketing partnership with Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse on James Street here in my hometown of Syracuse, New York. Tay, like you said, we could talk forever, and we will continue to have the conversation, but I'm thankful today that you came on the show. You talked about your perspective and clear the air on some things, and your pride and your excitement that you guys ended the season on the win. I think is fantastic, and I just want to tell you, beyond everything else, thank you for how you always treat me and the person that you are toward me. I really am honored to have you in my life, and to be able to tell your story is a blessing. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Appreciate it, Dan. Feelings mutual. Thank you as well, man.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon. Keep smiling, Tay.
Absolutely, Dan. Have a good day.
All right, and you say hi to Mariah for me, okay?
Will do.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, later.
That coming from Tay Baker once again here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and his little Mariah, who we got to feature on Wake Up Call, which is so cool. So we got to have her on the show and do that the last time when Eris Robinson joined the show for the first time ever, his assistant coach. We had Mariah join for the second time ever, but the first time that she got to say the final word on the show, which I thought was really fun and really cool. And, you know, really excited for Tay and Eris and Mariah and that whole team as we step forward at Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse. With that being said, we're going to take a quick step aside on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. When we come back, Mike Kitts will be joining me, and I am very, very excited to have Mr. Kitts on the show. Longtime official in the world of college basketball, been to numerous Final Fours, and he is now a coordinator of officiating, has been that for many, many years, so he knows this game inside and out. We'll talk about the college basketball season and what he's seeing through an official's eyes for 2022-23. You got a question about a call? Send it in. Mike and I will be talking right after this inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. This is Wake Up Call, and I appreciate you. Avicolli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicolli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicolli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life. Appreciate you being here with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and cannot thank you enough for all that you do to connect with us on our social media as well. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. We're on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all / Wake Up Call DT, live to the world, and we appreciate you hanging out with us. Inside of Monpaz, Popcorn.com is what's popping. Next up on the schedule for today, Mike Kitts live with us, a longtime official in the world of college basketball, done multiple Final Fours, and see him in the tournaments all the time when he was on the floor officiating. Now is the coordinator of officiating for the Horizon League in a consortium with the Big Ten, the Mid-American, and the Summit, and also the Skyline of Division III. So this man will always be connected to the Stripes, I believe, and I'm always happy to have him connected to the show, and more than that, to have him as a friend. So with that being said, to talk about college basketball's season, if you got an officiating question, you got some thoughts, you are free to send them in. Mike Kitts is here with me. Mr. Kitts, how are we doing, sir?
Good, Dan. Thanks for having me. Kind of looking forward for the season to get over with. It's been a long season, and all the coaches are right. All the referees aren't very good. So that's the way the season's going.
Yeah, and you and I were talking about this off the air. Mike Kitts here on the broadcast on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You were speaking on that players don't make mistakes, coaches don't make mistakes, but officials are always wrong. What is it like to live in that type of world where, nobody else makes mistakes unless they have pinstripes on?
When I talk to the coaches, I tell them, look, I've never seen a perfect game coached, played, or officiated. I go, there's going to be some mistakes in the game by everybody, included coaches and players, and you just hope you don't have a major mistake at the end of the game that might cost a team a game or something. But for as many plays as a coach could pick out to send me to say the referees missed it, I could pick out the same amount of plays where they're in their offense in the front court, either throw the ball away, get it stolen, have a turnover. They don't even get a shot off, and the referees aren't playing defense on those plays either. So it's just it's the way it is. This world is right now. Is who can I blame? It can't be my fault. That's the way everything is right now.
How have you seen? I mean, fans have always had issues with officials. I mean, that's an age-old thing that's been here. But to you, is it worse now than it was before when you were officiating?
That's
I mean,
been
now
here,
as a coordinator of officiating,
to you, is it?
How do you look at it in today's world? Is it worse to be an official now when it comes to all of the clapback from people that think the official's wrong? Or do you think it's always been the same? It just looks bigger now because of social media? How do you assess it?
Yeah, you made a good point with the social media. That's what's causing a big problem. I mean, everything's out there. You can't get away with anything. They don't miss a trick with you with the films. And I always tell the referees, just try to beat the film. Just if you have a play, make sure when you blow your whistle, you're right. If you don't have a play, just let it go. I keep talking to even the announcers on TV when I'm listening to the games, and boy, that major contact, and I keep telling when I go to these places and I'm at the games and I talk to these announcers that are doing the games, they said, you're talking about contact. It's caused by the offensive player, and it's a legal defender with 2 feet on the floor facing him, and the offensive player is dribbling into the guy, and that's what's causing the contact, and they think it's a foul on defense, and it can't be on the defense because he's a legal defender. It's just, but just the way I was at a game last week when my Mike was reffing at Davidson, and these fans were just torment referees. I had to get up and leave from where I was sitting because I couldn't take it anymore. It just screamed. They'd come to the game and scream, and they got little kids around them, and they're swearing. And it's just a whole different atmosphere now with college basketball.
Yeah, here with Mike Kitts, a longtime basketball official in the college world and now coordinator of officiating for the Horizon League in consortium with the Big Ten, Mid-American, and the Summit, and also connecting with D3's Skyline. So when you look at this, Mike, and we look at this season specifically, 2022-23, what have been, as a coordinator of officiating, what have been the conversations about the most? What are coaches this season specifically struggling to understand, sending the film in about the most? Like what's been maybe one issue or multiple issues that you feel like keep coming across your desk that you feel have maybe had the biggest area of opinions or coaches, not understanding or whatever it may be? What's been kind of the spotlight issues of officiating this season?
It's the play I brought up earlier. It's about offense-initiated contact with a dribble to a legal defender. And all the contact is caused by the offensive player dribbling to a legal defender. And it looks bad because of the contact, but you can't penalize the defender because he's legal. And that's the biggest play that I think that the coaches have a problem with, is because all the contact on a play created by the offensive player going into a legal defender. It's just, that's the biggest issue this year. I think the referees have gotten very good at not calling that play, calling the foul on the defender, which he should be. And that's a play I keep, when I get clips of plays from the coaches, I go, Coach, it can't be a foul. He's a legal defender. 2 feet on the floor, face him. He's allowed to move backwards or sideways. And your player's dribbling into him and creating a position he's putting himself in. That's the biggest one this year as far as offense-initiated contact by an offensive dribbler to a defensive player. That's the biggest one this year.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You talk about it, an offensive player dribbling and initiating contact with the with the defensive player. When you are looking at this and you're seeing this, what when the film comes in, when a coach says, "Hey, I want you to check this out," how many times do you feel like the coaches is it getting better over the season where the coach is saying, "Hey, my defender didn't initiate contact, it came from the offensive player"? Do you feel like there's been an uptick in an understanding of it, or do you feel like where you were at the beginning of the season and where you are right now, there's still a disconnect between what you're seeing in the officiating group and what the coach is seeing?
It's gotten better. I mean, it took a while for the coaches to understand that, especially in my league. That was the biggest gripe they had with Mike, look at all the contact. Yeah, but it's caused by your offensive player. I had a discussion with a coach of Milwaukee, Wisconsin last week, who's Art Lundy, is a really first-year coach at Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He's got a kid on his team that just constantly dribbles into a legal defender. He's looking at the refs like they got two heads, and it's not a foul. I go, Coach, he's creating all the contact. The refs aren't going to call a foul on it, so just tell him not to do that. And if he does do that and he loses the ball, it's not a foul. And, the coach was great to listen to. He listened to me. He was receptive to what I had to say. And just the other day, the second game after I talked to him, the kid had gotten better, got dribbled into a legal offender, and you keep having these discussions and you hope it's getting through to him, and I think it is. It's just a hard play to referee and be consistent at as far as the officiating is concerned.
Yeah, and I look at it from, the other side in today's world. You and I have talked about this before, that as a defender, sometimes it feels like it's so difficult to defend without being called for a foul, especially if you're a big man. It seems like in today's college basketball where, there's the notion of the NCAA wanting you to score a lot of points and whatever, that it's so easy to foul somebody and so hard to defend. Do you attest to that notion? Do you think it's gotten better? I mean, as far as what a defender knows they can do and trying to adjust to the game, can you defend cleanly? Because, you and I know that there used to be more physicality, and there's some conferences that let you go a little bit more. I think the Big East still allows you to have more contact, more of what I was used to growing up in Syracuse, New York, that when I went to the Big East tournament this past year, there was so much more. It was funny, the juxtaposition, and it's no offense to anybody. I'm just stating a factual thing. I went to the ACC tournament at the Barclays. I went to the Big East tournament at MSG. At the ACC tournament, you couldn't touch somebody with your pinky grazing their hand. In the Big East tournament, you could bang your body 2-3 times before they're going to call any foul. So you do see a difference in conferences, especially when the conference is within playing each other in a tournament or in their conference schedule. But how do you see it now? Because I loved the fact that I could watch the Big East and you could still be physical. But in a lot of places, I feel like the game has gotten less physical and defenders get called for more. Do you see that? Is it getting better? How do you view it?
I see it as I don't see a lot of difference like you're talking about, because what's happening now is that you're getting referees from the ACC that are coming over to the Big East, and Big East officials going to the ACC. So you're getting a kind of a group of officials that referee both leagues this year. So I think it's getting more consistent. I agree that sometimes, the Big East when I was refereeing was a little bit different. I think the Big Ten's a lot like that now this year. But it's just, I think it's gotten better because of the officiating. It's got more consistent because of the referees that they're using, both from the staff in the ACC, the Big East, and the Big Ten. I know the Big Ten had a change in leadership this year as their coordinator of officials, and Terry Weimer took over. And he's brought in quite a few of the so-called big shots that referee in college basketball, the Roger Ayers, the Doug Sermons, Kip Kissinger, and those guys that are doing a lot of games between different leagues. So I think because of that, I think it's shortchanging the younger referees, not giving them an opportunity. But I think that's what the coaches want. They like to see familiarity. It's huge for the coaches. When you see a Syracuse game, there's certain guys you see that I know Boeheim likes, like Teddy Valentine, Jamie Luckey. So, but those guys cross over to multiple leagues, and I think it's gotten better with consistency as far as the refereeing goes.
That coming from longtime college basketball official Mike Kitts, now the coordinator of basketball officiating, has been for years here, Horizon League, and in the consortium with the Big Ten Mid-American Summit, and working with the D3 with the Skyline, NCAA D3. So, Mike, if you were on the floor right now as an official, and let's say it's a game that's going on, and you're talking a couple minutes into the game, a couple fouls have been called, what would you say to a defender, to a guy who's 6'11", playing center, trying to block some shots, trying to go straight up, not putting his arms out, but putting them up? How would you describe to him how he should be playing the game, or what he should know if he's complaining about getting called for like maybe 2 fouls in the first 7 minutes of play? Because I have watched the big man, and there's times where I feel like there is no big man anymore, because guys that really like to block shots, seemingly will get called for some chippy fouls at times, and I'll have conversations and they'll say, hey, these 3 were mine. I don't feel like these 2 were, or these 2 were mine. I don't know if these other 2. And sometimes I think they have a point. So do you think it's harder for a big man underneath, 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot, to not get called for a foul? Because I see, at least from my viewfinder, it seems much more common that a center, a big man, is going to get called for a body more than I see, a guy that's 6'3" or, 6'1" playing guard or whatever that may be. Do you think the big man has to play the game differently? I'd love to break that down because I've over the last couple of years, I've seen some things that make me kind of question, how does a big man really become a physical, block your shot big man without fouling out of a bunch of games?
If you look at Zach Edey for Purdue, he's about the only player in college basketball that's that big and plays with his back to the basket. All the other ones are playing with facing the basket, which is different than him. I don't think he gets called for a lot of fouls because he's 7'4". He doesn't really have to even jump to block shots, to be honest with you. But, he's about the only big man in college basketball that plays with his back to the basket. When you watch any Big Ten games, Big East games, I know that Xavier's got a couple kids with Sean Miller that a couple kids play back to the basket at 6'10". But, I don't see a lot of it because most of the players that are big guys for most of the teams are playing facing the basket. So they're either putting the ball on the floor, they're not playing with their back to the basket. I think you see less fouls because of the size of the guys that are playing with the back to the basket.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're looking at today's big man and you get a phone call about it, like you said, you see, one guy playing with his back to the basket, over 7 foot, not having too much issue. What would you say to a guy underneath, like a Jesse Edwards example for Syracuse, who is a guy who is, likes to go out, likes to block shots, will run and block it in the corner, will block it underneath. It's something that he prides himself on, I believe, from my standpoint. And Munir Hima, coming into Syracuse this year, blocks a bunch of shots. Great hand-eye coordination for these guys, but also guys that get into foul trouble. So how would you assess a player like that who is in a situation where they want to be that shot blocker inside, but, are there elements to their game that you say, okay, you know what? In today's basketball, you have to adjust to this, you have to adjust to that. If you're going to block shots, we have to see more of this. I mean, what's an official looking for in that sense is, I guess, what I'm asking.
You talk about Jesse Edwards. I think he's a fabulous player. He's really come a long way at Syracuse. He's a player that, when I watch him, and I watch quite a bit of SU games this year, he gets called for at least one or two cheap fouls a game. I don't know what the referees are looking at sometimes, but he's in a position sometimes where Jim's got to sit him down on the bench because he picks up a foul. Then he'll probably make a foul to put 2 fouls on himself, and he's got to sit down. But usually when the game's over, when you look at the way he played, if he fouls out a game, I bet you there's 2 calls that you say, wow, that's not a good call against this guy. You got to make sure. He's the type of guy, when I was refereeing, I talked to the other 2 guys on my crew, would say, look, if we're going to call 5 fouls on Jesse Edwards, everybody in the place better see these 5 fouls. Yeah. Because he's playing because he's a good player. So, I mean, that's the conversations I would have when I was refereeing, that if, say, Jesse Edwards had 3 fouls, whoever calls the 4th or 5th foul on Jesse Edwards better be 250% right, and everybody in the building better see those 4th or 5th fouls.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point because, him and I spoke about it, and Jesse and I have, we have a great relationship that's built over these years, and I've said to him, kind of joking but not joking, like, okay, like I said before, like these were yours, but what about these couple? And, because I don't want to see what I don't want to see, and what I'm getting to this morning here with Mike Kitts, who's spent many, many decades in the world of officiating, even though he's only 27 years old. Shout out to you, Mike. So, but what I don't want to see in college basketball or in basketball in general is a guy who can block shots, who is tenacious, who wants to get after it and protect the basket. I don't want to see him play timid, and I don't want to see him change his game and put his hands down. And there were times, and I love that you brought it up from your perspective, there were times when Jesse's been playing over these last couple of seasons where I feel like, in his head, is he thinking, all right, I got to put my hands down and just not try to block any shots because of the way that the fouls were being called. So I mean, how do you look at this world of basketball today? I mean, do you think it's harder, and do you think it affects some big men in a game? Have you seen it affect some big men in the game who maybe in the first half are going after and trying to block those shots and send them in to the rafters, and then in the second half they're going, okay, you know what? I'm just going to play with my hands down because I got called for 2 chippies and I don't want to foul out of this game. I mean, do you feel like sometimes the officiating on some of those questionable calls has almost taken away the big man at times?
Yes, it has. It just and he's a perfect example of it. A couple of games I saw this year where he got dinged with a couple fouls that just weren't fouls. Now it takes his aggressiveness away, and I think SU needs him to be aggressive both on the offensive boards and defensive boards, rebounder wise. And I see that with officials, and for the most part, the officiating is very good in the ACC and the league that Syracuse plays in. And but I think when I watch a few games, he gets dinged for at least one call that's really questionable, and maybe 2 times he does. It's just it's a tough position for him to be in when he gets 2 fouls. Now he's got to back off, like you just said, and not be aggressive because he can't pick up the third. And most coaches, I don't know what Jim's philosophy is, but if a player picks up 2 fouls in the first half, he usually sits the rest of the first half. So, if you give him 2 fouls 5 minutes of the game, he's got to sit the last 15 minutes. That doesn't help Syracuse at all.
No, and that's the big issue that I've been seeing these last couple seasons, and it's frustrating because of how good of a player he has been. And I tell people, and I've been very clear about this with no offense to anybody whatsoever, I don't think there's been a better center in Syracuse in the last 10 years than what Jesse's brought to the game. So, seeing him play the way that he has played, I love it when we get to see it, but it's definitely been interesting when it comes to, the world of officiating and whatnot. I want to go back to the Horizon League, as you are the coordinator of officiating of that. Speaking here with Mike Kitts on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. You have Youngstown State, Cleveland State, Milwaukee, Northern Kentucky, Oakland, Wright State, Robert Morris, Detroit Mercy, Purdue Fort Wayne, Green Bay, and IUPUI. When you look at your specific league in college basketball this season, I know we talked about the offensive player dribbling and creating the contact and making sure that defender's not being called for the foul when the contact was created by the offensive player. Is there anything else specifically in the Horizon League that you've had to tackle this year on a day-to-day basis or weekly basis, something that's come up that you think in the grander scheme of college basketball is maybe another spotlight that we should talk about when it comes to officiating right now?
Yeah, Youngstown right now is the top team in the Horizon League. They're 22-7.
Yeah,
probably gonna be the 1 seed in the tournament, the Horizon League tournament. We got 2 new coaches this year in the Horizon League. Bart Lundy at Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Cleveland State, new coach. And it's they've come in with a sense of they're very aggressive. They're not passive. And I don't think some of the teams in the Horizon League were ready for the way they played. Pick up 3/4 court, man-to-man, really playing hard defense. And some teams in that league weren't ready for that this year. They've come around. They've gotten better with it. But I thought that those 2 coaches, for being first-year coaches in this league, have done an unbelievable job. Cleveland State's right up there. The top 5 teams in the Horizon League get a bye. And then Feb 28th, I got 3 games, playoff games where 6 plays 11, 7 plays 10, 8 plays 9 at the highest seed. Then they go to the highest seed after that on March 2nd. But right now, Youngstown's the best team. The guy that coaches is named Jared Calhoun. He was with Huggins at West Virginia. He's done a great job there. All the coaches are actually pretty good to deal with for the most part. And commissioner of the Horizon League is Julie Will Lash. Does a great job. And it's a great league, very competitive, and a lot of good players. And it is. There's no dominant big man in that league, so you get all the same players, about 6'5", 6'4", guard 6'1". It's all the same size, and there's really not a dominant player. So basically, whoever shoots the ball the best from the three-point line usually wins these Horizon League games.
That coming here from Mike Kitts, coordinator of officiating for the Horizon League and in consortium with the Big Ten, the Mid-American, and the Summit. We were talking about it off the air, Mike. Your schedule, and now, how old are you now, Mike?
72.
And that was going to be my guess based on birthdays and knowing you. I was like, I'm going to guess that, but I'm going to tell you this, over the years, I don't think, I know you might joke and laugh when I say this, but I think you've been aging well, Mr. Kitts. I think, as you've gotten older, I don't know, maybe you've gotten wiser, maybe you're a little more relaxed. I don't know what it is. Maybe you don't have coaches screaming at you on the court itself, so that's a good thing. But you got a busy schedule coming up, and you've stayed youthful in this game, loving this game for as many decades as you've had, working within it. So what is the schedule going to be like for you over the next couple weeks? Because we were talking about it off the air, and I would love for you to share it, because this is one thing I think people don't know about officials and coordinators of officiating is that it's always what they did wrong, but I want to give some credence and respect to the fact that you have such an incredible schedule and at the same time overseeing so many different things, and you try to make sure that you're there, and that part of the job, you're part of the job, and I don't know if everybody does it like you, because you make a point to be in a lot of different places. Sometimes it feels like you're in two places at the same time, to see different things, to be there, to show your face, and to understand what's going on. You're a student of the game, and you've always been that way, and I respect it. So I would love for you to share your schedule, because you really don't allow yourself 5 minutes to sit in the hotel room, and I commend that, because I think people see officials for 2 hours, but they don't see everything else that goes into it, especially as a coordinator of officiating.
Yeah, I've had 4 trips this year where I left Syracuse, New York, and put over 1,600 miles on the car. My daughter's doing a residency in Cincinnati at University of Cincinnati Medical Center. And so what I do is I drive to Cincinnati, and I got 5 schools within 2 hours where her apartment is that I can go visit between Northern Kentucky, Wright State, IUPUI, IPFW, Youngstown, Cleveland State. So, when I drive there and go to those places, I stop at the schools, make sure they know I'm at the game, watch the games, talk to the coaches before and afterwards. But it's a situation where, again, this year 4 times 1,600 miles each time on a car, and spending nights in a hotel, and most of the time spending nights with my daughter at her apartment, and then going to the games that night, coming back. So it's been a good season. It was a little different starting this year because we didn't have our meeting in Chicago. Usually when I have our meeting in Chicago, to start the season in October, I visit Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Green Bay, which I didn't get to do this year, which I will do next year. And, I don't know how much longer I'm going to do this. Excuse me. Maybe a couple more years at the most.
Yeah, I mean, you've done so much in this world. What would you say, Mr. Kitts, if you could go back in time and talk to yourself at your beginning of your officiating career after everything you know now? You got in a DeLorean, you went back in time. What would you say with all the knowledge and wisdom that you have today to yourself if you could go back to when you started?
Nothing really. I started refereeing at 24 years old, and I retired from officiating at 64. And there's really nothing I take back. I can't believe what I've gotten out of officiating between starting at 24 in Syracuse, doing high school games, JV games, and everything like that. It's been unbelievable. I had a great run. I've had a great run. And it's just, I wouldn't change anything. Everything's been the way I wanted it. And everything's doing what I like for my son to do, Michael. He's doing really well this year. He's got a really good schedule, and hopefully he gets in the NCAA tournament this year. I got asked yesterday to cover the first and second rounds for the NCAA tournament, the 16th and 18th of March at Des Moines, Iowa. So I'm going out to Des Moines, Iowa for the NCAA to evaluate the officials on the games on March 16th and March 18th out there. So I just found out yesterday.
And when you do that, when you go to the NCAA tournament and you're evaluating the officials, you and I have spoken about this before, and I think it's a really cool part of the tournament that people don't know. As there's a bracket going on in the foreground, in the background, there's a bracket of officials, and people like yourself are going and reviewing and watching these officials to help decide which officials make it in the bracket to the 64 to 32 to Sweet 16 and Elite 8, because as we go through the tournament, some officials get asked to continue, some don't. So when you're going through this process, you know, this is a heavy-handed process, right? Because you're trying to help find the best officials that are going to call the best game as the games get more and more important, more and more intense. I don't want to say more and more important because they're all important, but as we get closer and closer to the championship. So having this honor that you've had for many years to go and review officials, just what that means to you, and to be a part of that background that's going on where the officials are essentially having their own tournament bracket.
Yeah, it's quite interesting how it works. You know, when I get there, when I watch a game, I chart every call and non-call by the officials. If the call's right, I put down a 1. If it's wrong, excuse me, I put down a 2. And I got something caught in my throat right now.
There, okay.
But it's a lot of the referees I see are my friends, and but I got to be objective, and I can be objective, and I decide if they move on or not. So it's a hard job, and it's something I like doing. I'm very honest with it, so I put the best officials forward.
That coming from Mike Kitts here, longtime referee and coordinator of officiating for the Horizon League in consortium with the Big Ten Mid-American Summit, and for D3 connected with the Skyline. Mike, we do a thing on this show. Grab yourself some water or do what you got to do on your side. I don't want you choking here on the air. So we do a thing on the show called The Ingredients to Success, proudly presented by Avicolli's on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, down the road from Liverpool High School. I mentioned that because not only do I appreciate and care about the Liverpool Warriors and all of our kids in the community, but Liverpool High School and I get to do a monthly show at Avicolli's exclusively to celebrate the Warriors' athletic programs, their coaches, administration, and of course their student athletes. So with that being said, the Ingredients to Success, proudly presented by Avicolli's. I picked the topic and do the ingredients. Well, Mike, I'm going to keep you on here to talk about this. So the topic for the Ingredients to Success is the relationship between coaches and officials. What are your ingredients to success that you would like to tell coaches and officials in working together? Because this love-hate relationship is something that people talk about all the time. I want your ingredients to success after 40 years as an official and now a coordinator of officiating. What are the ingredients to success in the dance between a coach and an official?
You know, you got to be able to know what to say, how to say it, when to say it. You got to be able to communicate with coaches. I also talk to coaches about their presentation when they dislike something. You know, your presentation has got to be professional. Ask the question legitimately. Don't yell at the official. I, as a referee, never yell at coaches. So I think communication between coach and official is very important, and they got to respect one another.
That coming from Mike Kitts, and we didn't even talk about this beforehand, and that was succinct and to the point of somebody who has done it for many years and understands it. That coming from Mr. Mike Kitts. Mike, kind of in fun here, I know you and I have talked about it before, and the picture that I put up today as we were talking was you with your hand on your head when John Calipari was talking to you. Can you go back and tell me the worst interaction that you've ever had with a coach? Like something that was so off the wall that you had to literally go over to them and say, I'm not going to listen to another, like I can't hear another word from you. Hey, can you go back to that time?
You know, probably, in I think it was the Midwest Regional out Salt Lake City. I had a situation where I had to throw Coach Huggins out. At the time, he was coaching at Cincinnati. And he was dropping F-bombs after F-bombs. And I said, Coach, you can talk to me. If you drop another F-bomb, it's not going to be good for you. And he dropped another one. I threw him out. And him and I are still friends, to this day. But he crossed the line at that particular time. He got personal. When a coach gets personal, it's time for a technical foul.
Yeah, and is it, Mike, is it hard? I mean, you're a human being, right? You're a human being, so you're calling a game, but if you hear this coach chirping the whole game, is it hard to call a game impartially when a coach gets out of hand? Does the human element come into it where an official could be so turned off by a coach that they can't call a clear game? Have you seen that happen?
No, what happens, all referees are different in the game. If a coach is talking to you and everybody's tolerance level is different, if it gets to a point where you're more worried about what he's saying and refereeing, then you have to address him and say, Coach, you've had enough. You're hired to coach. I'm hired to ref. No more refereeing. Now, when I say that to a coach and he refs another play, it's a technical foul. I put him on notice. The onus is on him. It's off of me. I told him how I felt, and he's all done refereeing. And that's when coaches consistently referee, playing him after every play, I just shut that right down because that's not what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be coaching their kids. And they're not coaching their kids because they're too busy getting caught up in the officiating. And I put him on notice. If he doesn't quit refereeing, I'm going to take him up. That's plain and simple.
And do you think today the technical foul, is it called as much today? Do you think, where are we in the world of the technical foul today in college basketball?
I don't see a lot of it anymore. I think there's more communication going on between referees and coaches, which is good. But sometimes it goes overboard where you're talking too much to the coach. I don't like that part of it. And I see it a lot, especially on free throws, where there's always an official over in front of the coach that's while they're shooting a free throw, he's talking to him. I don't know what they're talking. I didn't like a lot of conversations. If he had something to say, I listened to him. But for the most part, he was supposed to coach, I was supposed to ref.
Yeah, no, and I definitely agree with that. You don't see a lot of technicals though in today's basketball. And do you like that? Dislike that we don't really see? I did go to a game. I went to a USCAA game outside of the NCAA, for small colleges, a Bryant Stratton College Syracuse game, and there was multiple technical fouls called. And I got to be honest with you, I don't know if any of them would warrant a technical foul. But outside of that, I don't. It's so seldom now to see a technical foul. Why do you think that is? Do you think that coaches have sworn less? Is it harder? Is it something that an official doesn't want to call? Why do you feel like we're seeing so much less when it comes to technical fouls?
I think it's familiarity with the referee and the coach.
Okay.
A coach knows what he can't do or can't do with Ted Valentine's refereeing.
Yeah.
A coach knows what he can do and what he can't do with Jamie Luckey or Roger Ayers. So I think familiarity helps out with that this year as far as technical fouls. And they know how far they can go with a certain official because they've had him so many times over the years.
That coming from Mike Hitz, longtime official, 40 years in officiating, and a coordinator of men's basketball officiating since then. Del Rena sent a message in, said, "You've been a pleasure to watch over your career, Mike. Thank you." So, yeah, some love out there for the officials, and Mike Hitz, definitely one of the best ones out there, and a good friend and someone that I appreciate very much so. So, Mike, thank you for your ingredients to success, and thank you for everything that you bring to the table. As always, I look forward to seeing you in person soon because that's been long overdue. But as always, I appreciate your time, your flexibility, and always finding time to be on the show, and more than anything else for your friendship and your kindness. You're a good man, and I'm very happy that somehow, some way we cross paths.
Okay, Dan, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I really enjoyed it. Thanks so much.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
See you. That coming from Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Mike Kitts, longtime basketball official and a coordinator of basketball officiating for the Horizon League in consortium with the Big Ten, as well as the Mid-American and the Summit. And, of course, Mike also helps with Division III when we're talking about the Skyline. So, with that being said, Mike helping us with the ingredients to success, proudly brought to you by Avicolli's on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York. Thank you, Del Rena, for your very wonderful message here, and thank you to everybody that's been tuning in this morning and every morning, Monday through Friday, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora's many outlets, which you could find on youtube.com, facebook.com, and mixlr.com, all /Wake Up Call DT. So, appreciate you so very much. Big ups to Mike Kitts. We're going to take a step aside. We'll wrap up the show right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus, where you will find handcrafted all-natural soy wax candles over 60 cents to freshen up your home. We carry a wide range of locally made items, Salsa Q's, Syracuse Salt, and Chocolate Pizza Company, to name a few. Let our knowledgeable staff help choose unique gifts and keepsakes for any occasion. Gifts for family and friends, and maybe a little something for yourself. Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus.
This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. You know, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life. And I tell you every single time we are here about Cafe Kubal, filling your cup up right, you see we have our Wake Up Call mug here. And this mug is just so much better when there's some chai in it. There's some of my green tea that I get from there with the honey. I love honey. So get out. I mean, tea is great for, of course, somebody who uses their pipes for their, for their work, for their job, for their career like myself. So a big shout out to Cafe Kubal for all that you do in the community on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse, on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in their drive-through in North Syracuse, and on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. So many thanks to you for filling our cups up right. We appreciate it. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora wants to thank you for being with us around the world on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all /Wake Up Call DT. And of course, you could find us on wakeupcalldt.com and Facebook.com /LiveNowDT. Once the shows go live, and we just added a bunch of shows this week, so you go check them out. Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, TuneIn. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on all of these awesome outlets, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Big thanks to our wonderful and incredible partners in our community: Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Witty Wicks, PB&J's Lunchbox, Avicolli's, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. Have price refills for the rest of your life if you buy a tin today on 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Make sure you do that. Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Mother's Cupboard, the home of the Cuse McMother, my signature sandwich, which became available Wednesday, February 15th, and has already sold a bunch. Go out and get yours today. Daily at Mother's Cupboard, 3709 James Street in Syracuse, 7 days a week, 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. 317 at Montgomery, where we just did our new Downtown with Dan tasting, a new trio of menu items. Love them so very much. The flavors were incredible, and you got to get yourself to 317 at Montgomery Street. The name of the restaurant is the name of the location, 317 Montgomery Street in downtown Syracuse. Head over there today. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Campground, Dog Boarding, Great Lakes Honda City, which was the former Honda City of Liverpool, and of course Pizza Man, Chick-fil-A Watertown, and we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It has been way up when it comes to Lemoyne. We appreciate everything we get to do with the Lemoyne College Dolphins, and you can connect with Lemoyne on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora exclusively every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We bring you the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of every Wednesday we bring you Dolphin Time, and the first and third Wednesday of each month, AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Every second and fourth Wednesday, the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. Wednesdays at 9 a.m. is Dolphin Time. First and third, AD and DT. Second and fourth, Dolphin Dive. And we have bonus features that we do as well. And this week may just have a bonus feature coming to you. More than one Dolphin Dive, which I'm very ecstatic about. A lot of great stuff coming up with the Dolphins. Baseball season, softball season, men's and women's lacrosse, men's tennis, all of these coming into the fray as swimming and diving continues on. Men's and women's basketball continues on. So many great things happening on the Heights, and I love telling their stories. So big shout out to AD Bob Beretta, President Dr. Linda Lemura, and all of the coaches, student athletes, alumni, and future Dolphins. Check out all of our content by going to the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com, subscribing to youtube.com /wakeupcalldt, and of course, you can go to, for more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. That music is for the sole purpose of you dancing in your office, your place of work, the gym, school, home, wherever you may be. Bobcat in the car, Bobcat Buzz coming to you. I am so grateful for the Bryant Stratton College Bobcats being their exclusive multimedia marketing partner, getting to tell their stories of fantastic student athletes and coaches that you should get to know. I appreciate them so very much. They are located on James Street in Syracuse, and the Bobcat Buzz comes to you every month on Wake Up Call, like today with Tay Baker and yesterday with Clay Gagan Sherman. You can check out all of our content with the Bobcats by going to the BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com. And of course, you can go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and click subscribe. For more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Christy's Corner, our exclusive segment with International Boxing Hall of Famer Christy Salters Martin and Pat Orr joining us of PB&J's Lunchbox, who is the exclusive partner of the Christy's Corner segment. And you can go to PB&J's Lunchbox on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York, Monday through Saturday with breakfast, lunch, and dinner served all throughout the day, so you can have whatever you want on the menu itself. Appreciate them so much. Big ups to our Bobcat Buzz feature with Tay Baker, finishing up his first season as the head coach of the women's basketball team at Bryant Stratton of Syracuse. And a many thanks to Mike Kitts, who brings us into the world of officiating in a candid and real way that I feel is necessary and that people don't typically get to see. And of course, the ingredients to success from Avicolli's, a fantastic place to dine in for their casual pizza side, their fine dining side, and of course their bar, and when the weather's permitting, outdoor dining as well. Make sure you drink responsibly and head over to Avicolli's Tuesday through Sunday. They are closed on Mondays for lunch, dinner, and drinks. And of course, for catering, takeout, and delivery, call 315-622-5100. A big shout out to Witty Wicks. As you know, the Cuse Pillows, Cuse Home Sweet Home, the 315 Syracuse Pillow, the Upstate New York pieces that we have here, the upside down light that is right by Coleman's, that is very unique to Central and Upstate New York. My upstate gear that I wear, my hats, my long sleeve shirts, my sweat, my hoodied shirts, all of those come from Witty Wicks. And of course, the 315 sign that's over Christy Martin's gloves that we have here, the 315 Home Sweet Home. All of these things celebrating Central and Upstate New York are available in one location at Witty Wicks. Get there before I do, because I buy so many of them. 190 Township Boulevard in Camillus, New York. I hope you all have a great day. God bless each and every single one of you. Do not treat yourself differently when other people treat you differently. Love yourself no matter what, and know who you are, because not everybody does. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Do not let anybody abuse you, put you down, or disrespect you. You cannot control what people say and do, but you can control your reaction to it, your response to it, and you can control how much you love yourself. So love yourself today and always, and never let the bad stuff take you down. Focus on the blessings, pray to God, and as my dad always said, people are going to hate you, people are going to have problems with you. Never give them a reason. They will, but don't give them a reason. Be a good person no matter what, and know that you can put your head on the pillow with whatever they've done to you, said about you. I mean, how many times have I caught somebody talking behind my back? And that's just God. So what do you do in those situations? You learn, you grow, and you realize, if I've done nothing to hurt this person and I have tried to be good to them always, then I have no reason to be upset. Stop focusing on what other people say and do, and start focusing on what you say and do. Because if you've done something wrong, then you need to apologize. And if you haven't, well, then you can move forward no matter what happens, knowing that you were never trying to hurt somebody. And I can proudly say that I don't ever want to hurt anybody. And to anybody I ever have, I'm sorry, and we move forward. But don't let this world get you down, and don't let people get in your head. And when bad things happen, keep being a good person. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk soon. Have a great day.